Hey my sweet Kit Kats, Keli-Kat here. Let's do over this little shelf sitter I purchased last year at Michael's. It was very on sale in the clearance section, and I used 2 layers of bonding primer from Pentart to cover everything on the front surface there of this piece. I let it dry super well, overnight preferably. And now you see me applying a cracking primer universal paste from Pentart just on the outside edges. We're gonna come in here with some beautiful crackle, and I'm just gonna show you a fun way to kind of recreate something that you can find clearance or thrifted. That cracking primer universal paste is nice and dry, so we're gonna come in with this beautiful rose gold metallic cracking paste, also from Pentart, and comes in many different colors. It's a thicker paste, so I'm using my little palette tool to put this on. You can put it on smooth. You can kind of rough up the surface of it like you see me doing here. I just use my palette tool. Sometimes I lift the palette tool up and down to create a little bit more texture. And once this all dries, you're gonna see some beautiful crackle. You can definitely paint a color underneath if you want that to show through. I was okay with just the white. So just making sure I get a good layer all the way around the outside of this little shelf sitter. I often do see these when I'm out and about thrifting. Super easy to just prime right over the top of it and do something completely different. So I thought this would be fun to do together. And you're gonna wanna dry this super well. You're gonna see me start here with my little heat tool just to kind of get it started. And then what I do is I set it in front of my fan. It doesn't take long at all. And when I come back to it, all that beautiful crackle is all where it should be. And I get so excited to see how it turned out. I just like to start that process a little bit with my heat tool. There's many colors of the cracking paste available. I just thought the rose gold was going to go nicely with what we're going to put on here. So here it is all dried. I just pulled it away from my fan. I did paint the front surface there in a cottage white chalk paint. We're gonna decoupage with our decoupage medium from Paint Couture, a beautiful background paper that actually comes from the set Red French Stripes from my affiliate link to Old to Ooh La La Printables. And I thought this would make a beautiful background paper, also with that pretty rose gold on the sides. So let's decoupage down that paper. That is a digital printable. So you purchase the digital printable, it gets emailed to you. You save, download, and print. I printed these on rice paper. You could put transfers down over the top of this, and that is exactly what we're gonna do here, just to pretty up this background a little bit. But also molds would be gorgeous on here. Some sort of a big medallion in the middle would be cute. I just want to make sure that is good and dry so that we can sand off those edges with our Gator sander. I love this kind of vintagey background. The color is perfect. It's time to start thinking about colors, spring, all the good things, right? Just putting a new sanding piece there on my Gator to make quick work of getting rid of the excess. You can find my affiliate link to Old to Ooh La La Printables pinned at the top of my page. It's also in my link tree. French Red Stripes is the name of this one. Red French Stripes, excuse me. I'm just going right over the top of it with that same medium I used to decoupage it down, just making sure my edges are down nicely. And in that Red French Stripes digital kit, you do get 14 8.5 by 11 portrait papers, and also 2 4 image papers where there's 4 on each one. So I'm going to come in here with some transfers called love letters. They are from Timeless Designs, but from what I understand, I don't believe they are in business any longer. I think the colors of the transfers match beautifully to that background. So I'm cutting out the pieces that I think will look nice on here, removing that backing, laying it down where I like it, and using my little transfer tool to rub it down on my surface and start gently picking up the edge to release your transfer. If you find that there's portions still attached to your backing there, just lie it back down and do a little bit more rubbing. But you can see here it comes off just beautifully. I do want this to look aged and vintage, right? So don't be afraid to cut apart your transfers, use pieces of them. You can layer them on top of each other. Very, very satisfying, and it goes super fast. This little piece had some writing on it, and I thought it was really pretty to kind of go with that bunch of flowers we just put down. You do want to make sure you seal anything that you are putting a transfer over. So we did that by putting the same decoupage varnish that we used to put down the paper right over the top. That sealed it nicely. If you're painting and putting a transfer, you want to seal that also, unless you're using a mineral paint such as Paint Couture that has that built-in top coat. If you don't seal, there's a good chance that you will pull up either some of your rice paper or your paint that is underneath. So more often than not, I make sure I seal. I just don't want to take a chance of ruining anything under. So that's what we have so far, but I decide here, I think I need a little something else. So I'm just playing around with some of those pieces and deciding what I want. Cutting out a little butterfly here. Sometimes it's hard to decide on placement, but I do finally arrive right about there. Take that backing off. You can save that piece. That little white piece that I just laid down there, you can save and use the shiny side to go over the transfer when you're done, just to kind of help burnish or make sure that all of your edges are down. And once in a while, I have a little trouble finding the edge of that piece to lift up, so I'm just using my little Cricut tool there so I could get underneath. So here is what it looks like. We're gonna vintage this up a bit with some dark wax by Behr. I'm using a little stencil brush here, going a little heavy around those edges, using my finger to kind of blend it all in. I did not do the crackle on the very bottom just because I wanted it to sit nice and flush wherever you decide to put it. But the dark wax covers it beautifully. You could also use distressed ink around the edges if you prefer that. And I just wanted this whole thing to have a little bit more of a vintage look to it. So even going right in that crackle, just a little bit to kind of tone down any white that might be showing. You can go right over your transfer a bit as well. I think that's looking great. I did a little messy bow there with just some ribbon, sari silk, and pearls. Making a few adjustments there on the tails and deciding exactly how I want that to lie. Of course, you can fuss with the loops and all the things, right? I like how that looks. We're going to use a little stick fast and a bit of super glue to adhere that down. Holding it there for a second. Just helps soften it up a bit. I think we're going to use a few of these fake florals just kind of coming out each of the sides of that bow to add just a bit of color there. A little bit of hot glue to secure those in place. Just that nice little pop of green I think is good. Loving how it is coming together. I'm using what I thought was going to be a little fake flower to put in the center of our bow. So I decided to dirty that up a little bit as well with the wax. And then I decide I don't love it. So I do grab out a half round wooden bead for the center. But I decided I want a bit of dried baby's breath in there just to help keep everything soft and pretty. I kind of bunch up the amount that I want, cut off those ends a little bit, just a touch of hot glue, and then you can kind of fan them out and integrate them into those green florals there. Same thing on the other side, a touch of hot glue. The baby's breath came from Hobby Lobby. That's where I decide, ooh, a little wooden round, half round in the middle would be nice. So I dirty that up with a little bit of wax paste, with a little bit of dark wax. And I like that much better. Glue that in the center of our bow. I think it turned out so pretty. Red French stripes was that background. Look at that crackle, so cute. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it.